I keep hearing that Barack Obama was the most decisive president in our history. You know why he was divisive? Because he was black. That's what created the MAGA, Make America White Again, Klan movement. Because that's what it is. It is the remnants of the lost cause when they got their asses kicked in the Civil War because they wanted to own black people. When I hear Mike Johnson say, this is a Christian nation, I'm like, really, Mike Johnson? Was it a Christian nation? When the founding fathers owned human beings that were black as property? When they would whip them and cut out their fetuses from black women? When they couldn't vote for hundreds of years? When they were torn away from their families? When white Christians hung them in trees and took pictures and smiled after church on Sunday, Mike Johnson? Is that your Christian nation, Mike? Is it when we locked Asians in internment camps and murdered Native Americans, Mike? Is that your Christian nation? Wow, what a great Christian nation. But according to the Mike Johnsons and the Nazi Stephen Miller and the Grand Wizard Donald Trump and all of the white right-wing people, that is a Christian nation, and it means white supremacy. Listen to this interview from CPAC.
I have to say, I think some of the things that some of the younger people that I talked to were a little bit scary because they were saying things that sounded a lot like white nationalism. It sounded racist, to be honest.
What did they say?
Well, they were saying basically that the United States was founded by Europeans, and that is the identity of the United States. And it was a mission from God to conquer a land, and the United States was conquered by Europeans, and now that they're blessed, the United States is blessed by God because of conquering the people that lived here before.
Last month, the Young Republican Party, which is basically a Klan rally, was posting group chats with Nazi references, saying the N-word hundreds of times. In New York, the Young Republican Party, I think it was late last year or earlier this year, same thing, calling black people the watermelon people, the N-word, how people deserve to be in concentration camps, in furnaces, and they should all burn. Donald Trump taking away the slavery in the Smithsonian and taking away the history of slavery at the Philadelphia President's House. How about Andy Ogles posting 9/11 videos when Zohran Mamdani is running for mayor? Yeah, because, he must be a terrorist because he's not white. DEI, CRT, who do MAGA worship, right? A racist piece of human garbage podcaster, right? Oh, we are Charlie Kirk. The guy who said dead Americans was worth the cost of the Second Amendment. Yeah, what a great Christian. May he spend eternity with Jeffrey Epstein, right? The same guy that said the roaming blacks are doing crime. That's a fact. You know who's a criminal? Donald Trump is a rapist and defending child molesters and a convicted felon. He's not black, he's orange. But nothing from you, right, Charlie? No, nothing to see here because he's the white man. The same guy that said, hey, if I go on a flight, is the pilot qualified if he's black? Hey, Justice Jackson, I wonder, is she an affirmative action hire? I'm just curious. I'm asking the question, because he never says that about a white man. Harris is Black Hillary. What a racist piece of human trash. But that's who they worship, right? Colin Kaepernick takes a knee and peacefully protests because he wants people to be treated equally. He's a son of a bitch. Yeah, fire him. But a racist podcaster gets on Air Force Two, gets a day after him. They name streets after him. They have a Nazi-style Goebbels Nazi rally in Arizona, and he gets treated like Jesus Christ because he's a white supremacist. That's what he was. He wasn't about free speech. He was a right-wing, white supremacist grifter. That's who they worshipped. How many people went to church on Sunday? Oh my God, they won't take the name of Charlie Kirk. I'm going to leave my church. Oh my God. How many of these dumbass, six-teeth, white trash, fake-ass Christians went to Starbucks? Say his name. Put his name on my cup. Oh my God. 40,000 people die every year from gun violence. Every damn year. Children are identified by their dental records. Not a damn thing from you people. Literally by their dental records. Their shoes are all over the place. Their teeth, their bones, their flesh is pierced. Not a goddamn thing except there's nothing we could do. Thoughts and prayers. But a racist podcaster who says dead Americans is worth the cost of the Second Amendment. Oh my God, Jesus is coming. Oh, we got to baptize people. Oh, it's the second coming because one racist was the victim of a school shooting. It's white supremacy. Their whiteness was offended. When he said dead Americans is worth the cost of the Second Amendment, you know what he meant? Black people, brown people, gay people, trans people, Somalians, Muslims, Afghans. That's what he meant. And his little white trash wife, Tammy Faye Baker, she knows it too. And she's just a grifter off of white grievance, right? Oh, let's do yoga classes. Oh, can you tell me what a man and a woman is? Because I'm a dumbass. Oh, please buy some more freedom merch. How about the freedom of black people not to be called the N-word? How about that? How about the freedom of the Supreme Court to stop going against black people and gutting the Voting Rights Act so you could take away black representation? We literally right now, think about this, have a man in the White House, a white man that shits his diaper and wears orange makeup, that is an adjudicated rapist, a convicted felon. He was sued by a 13-year-old girl, Katie Johnson, for raping her. He has dozens of women with dates and incidents that he sexually assaulted them. He caused an insurrection and multiple officers died, 5, because of January 6th. And you all said, hey, shit happens, he promised me cheap eggs. No, what you said was, he's a white man, so I don't give a shit. That's what you said. And you had the most qualified candidate in the history of our country, but she was a black woman, and that was a bridge too far. And that was a lot of it for Latino men. They were misogynistic pigs. We're a great country? Really? 250 years into this experiment? 250 years. 51% of our population are women. And we still haven't had a woman president? We would rather have a man who defends child molesters and rapes women and a convicted felon as president over the most qualified black woman. That's why we're here, America. You're not going to vote your way out of this. You're not. The Democrats aren't going to save you. We're here because of white silence. That's what we've done as white people as a majority since 1619. Think about it. What if white people would have said something while black people were hanging in trees? Over 7,000, if I'm not mistaken. And you just went on your merry way. And even right now, white people, with all of this happening, with him taking down the history of slavery, while you have a white nationalist, alcoholic Pete Hegseth, who has multiple women out of wedlock and says anyone that's black may not be qualified. Hey, I'm not saying they are, I'm just are. You still, the most you're willing to do is protest on a Saturday every 4 goddamn months. Wow. Give yourself a white participation trophy. Are you willing to sacrifice? Because the only way this is going to stop is if white people are going to be uncomfortable. Now, you have 2 options here. You can do it voluntarily, or you can wait and do what you've done since 1619 and hide in your privilege and act ignorant and watch everyone else get treated like garbage. And then it's going to come to your door and it's going to be too late to fix democracy by then. What's it going to be, white people? Because that's what happened. White silence, white privilege created where we are. Martin Luther King said that evil succeeds when good people do nothing. We will not remember the words of our enemies, rather the silence of our friends. When George Floyd was murdered, may that officer rot in hell next to Jeffrey Epstein. 3 officers stood by and watched it happen. And that's exactly what white people have done since 1619. You are just as complicit. Just because you don't say anything doesn't mean you're innocent. They also went to jail because they saw an atrocity happening and they did nothing. So that's what it's going to be, white people. Are you going to be those 3 officers that stood by and watched it happen? Or are you going to be 15-year-old Claudette Colvin, 15-year-old black girl that sat on a bus and went to jail for doing what was right? Are you going to be that John Lewis that crossed the bridge just because he wanted to vote? And all I hear from white people are excuses. I can't afford to. You can't afford to? What if you were black? Would you do it then? Would you sacrifice then? If your kid was in a concentration camp? If you were black and called the N-word? If your black representation was taken away from voting rights, would you be upset then? You're damn right you would. So why aren't you doing it now? Because you're still hiding in your privilege. And I'll leave you with this. First, they came for the immigrants, but I wasn't an immigrant, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the Somalians, but I wasn't a Somalian, so I didn't say anything. Then they came for the 10 transgender athletes because, that's the worst thing in all the world. But I wasn't transgender, so I didn't say anything. And then they came for the black people. And I didn't say anything. For 200 years. And then they came for me. And nobody was left. And that's what's going to happen, white people. That's what Michelle Obama said. If you think the darkness won't go over your front door, if you think that your privilege is going to keep you safe, you have another thing coming to you. You can either be on the white side of history and sit in your privilege and in your silence and act like you don't want to rock the boat, or you can be on the other side. You have the right side of history or the white side. What's it going to be? Because I've lost friends and family over this, and I don't give a damn. Because I'm not going to look back in 30 years and act like I'm one of those 3 officers that stood by while black people were treated like shit. I will not be that person. I will be on the right side of history. How about you?